I was working with Wake County with the animal shelter there, and that was right after I got out of college. So after I got out of college, I was like, what do I want to do now? I can pick anything, and so I'm going to go to the shelter and work there. And I started working with adoption counseling, but it was so busy there all the time. There was animal control coming in. We had to do their records, help with their dogs. And we also had a lot of people that wanted to adopt. So it was not really a great setup for people to come in and adopt and really have anybody that knew much about the dogs or that could help them one-on-one find the dogs. Like, we had a lot of great dogs, we had a lot of good volunteers, but there wasn't really a good matchmaking system. And so I wanted to have it's kind of a place where people could come and see the dogs and adoptable dogs, not necessarily feel like whoever they didn't choose was getting left behind, because all of our dogs here, they get adopted unless they have a major medical issue or a major behavior issue that isn't safe for the community. Then they pretty much stay until they get adopted. So nobody really feels like they've got to take somebody because they are otherwise going to be euthanized. So also, I think it's a lot easier to kind of see them in a natural environment. So this isn't a natural environment. It's not a home environment either. And we try to stress to people, it's great for a shelter. It's great as kind of a stopover between being homeless and in a shelter that might not have space to keep you until tomorrow, till you get your forever home. But it's not at all like, a great place to live long term. But it is somewhere where they can show their natural behaviors, how they get along with other dogs. They don't have to love everyone, but they have to be dog safe. So that helps a lot of people, I think, who have another dog or either are looking for a dog that's really super social and helps them a little bit more connect with dogs. Also with dogs that might not be like your pretty white fluffy dog. So if we have a dog like that, everybody wants it. But having a place where they can come out and just sit and visit, then the people come and sit, and like the friendly dogs, they might not be one that's what we're getting all the applications for online, but they're a really great dog, and that kind of gives them a chance to be able to show who they are and have people pick for their personality as much as what they look like online. Yeah. So, and then I started really small. So I left that shelter and I wanted to learn how to do some behavior work to tell what the behavior of the dog in the shelter, kind of what that behavior shows, how that's going to translate into a home. Because when I was there, we were, having to make decisions a lot for what dogs we were going to be able to keep for adoption. And just because there were so many coming in there, how many, we didn't have space to keep everyone. So sometimes we did have to pick for euthanasia. And if I was going to do that job, I was wanting some sort of training on how do I make the right decision. So I did some training to learn how shelter behavior, especially in shelter behavior in dogs. And then I used that to start helping families who were looking for a dog. They would come to me and say, I want this sort of dog. Can you find it in a shelter? Well, I would go to a shelter and I might not find that dog, but I would find a lot of other dogs that wasn't what they were looking for, but they were really nice dogs, and bring them back. And then the word just kind of spread that you can go to Sacing Grace. It's a fun place to visit and adopt. And then it started, I was probably starting doing 400 dogs a year by myself and with a couple of volunteers. And now we'll probably do 4,000 this year with an incredible foster team. Yeah, incredible foster team, which the foster team is really the one that makes the difference on how many dogs we adopt each year. Puppies that come have to have their vaccines just because we are pulling dogs from all different shelters. So we never know which litter is going to come in that may have been exposed to disease. And if they don't have all their vaccines, then everybody gets it. So that's not necessarily the case with adult dogs because they have a pretty good immune system by the time they're about 7-8 months old. So if they're under that age, we send them to foster and they get their vaccinations before they come back. So that has really made a big difference with our foster team building their program, because there are literally litters of puppies every time I go to shelters. There's multiple litters, and I can only bring them back if there's a foster open. So if I bring them back, then they, have a place to stay, and they are adopted within the first day or two. I think last week we had 40 some puppies, and they were all adopted the next day, just for people that are waiting for us to get puppies. So our foster program is huge, and our volunteer program is huge. We have, I think, 5 full-time paid people, and then that's all. Now we finally have 5. For a long time, we only had 2, and so now we have 5, and the volunteers are really what makes a difference as well too. So they do 2 shifts a day just for dog care. So usually starting about 7:30 or 8 in the morning until about 1, and then in the evening from 5 to 8 they do a second feeding, exercising, cleaning, rotating all the dogs. We have transports every day, Monday through Friday, so we rely on the volunteers to take them for spay neuter, to take them for any grooming, any sort of vet appointment. So usually most mornings we probably have 3 or 4 transports going one place or another. So some might be going to a shelter to pick up some dogs, or taking them for care. And then we have, all of our photo. We have all our photo people. We have folks that help us with events, with fundraising. We have some good folks that help us with like the website and the admin side of things, just getting all the letters mailed out, the thank you notes, the all the receipts for donations, all that sort of thing. So there's probably, I would say, at least 300 active volunteers at any time. So yeah, it's crazy. So we have a little spay neuter clinic over here. We're waiting on our DEA license. So we have a full-time vet now, and we have a full-time tech, and they're going to help us with spay neuter. We've been struggling with spay neuter for a couple of years, but this year was kind of the kick in the butt, because when some of the clinics closed for COVID, we really had a hard time. That was definitely our biggest struggle this year with COVID was, not only did we lose volunteers, but we had the clinics, all the clinics that we work with, they mostly were alternating days. So they went to half staffs and alternated days. That way, if anybody did get sick, they would still have half their team that could come in and care for the animals. Because if your animals are sick and you can't treat them, then, that's essential too. So they had to have that. And that was really hard because we did not get enough spay neuter appointments. We got really crowded here, and we tried to do the foster to adopt program, which was great. It takes a lot more people though to run that program, and we were already short staffed with trying to keep up here. So that was tough, and I think that it was hard for adopters to not have the support that we would typically want to give them. If they take a dog home and it still needs some vet care, usually we have, we only do that for very few dogs if they might have significant medical issues. And but we usually have the people on site that can help follow up with their questions, so this was tough, but we haven't done anything like this before, so we were just kind of doing the best we could each day to try and give the dogs an opportunity and still give people a place to adopt. So we had a lot of people that still wanted to adopt, and a lot of dogs that wouldn't have survived if we didn't try to give them a chance. So we did the best we could. It was bumpy road. For the most part, everyone did very well. And, there were some adopters I know that feel like they probably didn't get the greatest adoption experience, but we just didn't have it to give this year.
No one did.
So no one did. So that was hard. And, the people, the volunteers and the folks who've stayed here the whole time, it's really been amazing, because I don't think we've turned away any dogs because we didn't have the people to care for them.